two varieties are not
Ja, die is tussenin ik
Testing the stream sounds to see how this thing sounds. Now it's there. So
We have one with
It's a long actual journey. It's 37 years, but the main problem is so we're doing a lot of active classes. Students, so they need of good education of understanding how to get it and then we saw that there's a lot of clashes in the university. They're not coming up in the face of what the market needs. So we're experimenting a lot in 5 years, and no, our degree is getting higher. We do not have any information yet.
Might test 2 or 1 test, like what is that? I am so sorry. Let's calm it down a bit. It should be a bit better.
I've been around a lot, but precisely here. 7 years ago, all the biggest projects take place in life. In mass. Now we really don't have that much unicorns. We have a couple of them. And it's really because it's growing, there's extra cash and people to new ideas. For that, there were no communities, nothing. Just small stuff that they didn't know what they still were doing. And also, they don't know what I
ja seal ta juba nagu, siis ta läheb ära ise ja nagu keegi eriti keeruline. Aga mida kõik asjad on see väike ja kõik asjad on kaasas. Hakkasin telistama selle teisele puiduga, siis aga ma sellest läks ära. Kas ma teen üle poole?
Yes. Yes, we came actually the first.
Mul läks ka niimoodi, et ma täiesti unustasin oma politsei Maria käest, oli kirjulik saates lugesidust ja andeks midagi. Ma olen ehk tervisena maailma selle see arve ei ole vaid liiks.
Aga kaardud ei ole
Ja siis
kaardud ei imeta, siis tema mõlemad paneme. Seal oli, tuleb tasa.
sa endal mõtled äkki alguses mõlema võtta?
sul on muust asjast midagi sobinud.
Aa, okei.
Tahad ühe näite teksti? See on enam-vähem sama.
Always
Ei ole, temal oli
Best time of his life.
jaa, see niisugune ta on. Need on niisugune põhimõtteliselt sama. Aga midagi siin on erinev. Siin on nurgastub. Siin on nagu olla, et siin on nurgast nende tegelikult
see on nii visuaalselt, mis siin
sa vaatad lihtsalt käele tõmbad, siin ei ole midagi sellega välja. Mis ma tean? Aga vaata, see on küll kõik. See on spetsiifiliselt erinev. Anyway, see on varustada.
no, aga siis ma teeks täna kõne, ja ma ei saa ta nagunii ette puhkusel või see
Vaadad, mis teda tuleb. Ja panna midagi, mis annab parem on tuleda ja ütleb, okei, see väike plats, seal on see alast ja seal.
New language for me still, but I'm very
kellast me siin alustate?
Tegelikult umbes täpselt 30 sekundi peal. Ei, plaani poolest. Jääme ka kaua juurde. Nagu ikka, inimesed on akadeemilist meelet, isegi seda on. Jõutakse nii video.
Topelt ei kärise.
Mitmed õigumis kõik.
Lõime täitsa selle vahel, et tuleme jälle pitch'ina selle.
Kus inimesed, kes teavad asjast.
Allkirjastab ka rõka.
Miks? Aga seda on tagasi. Soovitavad vaata ja tüüp isegi ei.
Seda on enam soovitavad.
Ei, siis saab olla 2 lisakonto. Ma annan talle seda tagasi. Töö võib olla okei, aga nagu ajaplaneerimise austus. Ja täiesti.
Anna see ära teised kõik.
Veel eelmine Estor ise liitus tagasi. Ma mõtlesin, et on väga okei. Ma tean, et on väga
There's a lot of stories coming from here. The shorter version is
Nice. Oh, cool. Good morning, Lift 99 community. I know that somebody can hear me, so please join. We have a lot of seats. Please come forward because we will have a nice event. Take some snacks. You have some minutes left. a few minutes. Please prepare questions because we will be super informal, and this is the platform to ask questions and to talk and to chat and to discuss the ideas about what we are going to do, about what the hell is economic downturn, how this affects us, and Web3 in general, just a new strange animal that is around in our tech community. So please come forward, take the first seats, because we usually do not like to take the first seats, but please do that. And grab snacks, grab coffee, and in 5 minutes we will start. By the way, I'm Monica from Turing College. Hi.
Everyone lines up at the corners, at the edges. Everyone avoids the center.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Front and center.
I literally came here deliberately so that others would follow and they decided to follow back.
Of course. Peer pressure. Oh yeah, so 2 people on YouTube. One, I did the two link to no, there's
There's a link.
Yes.
Yeah. Another 17:45, right?
We're giving Andres a chance.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. 1 minute and counting. Yeah, I know that Estonians and Lithuanians as well do not like to meter distance, social distance. They like more, so come here. Do not be afraid.
That's what all the Ethiopians do. They're coming out the woodwork.
Yeah. Just information for the online viewers, you can ask questions in the comments as well, and we will follow together. You can ask questions for the speakers. So once again, good morning, guys. Good morning, Web99 community. Welcome. My name is Monica. I'm from Turing College. We flew yesterday together with my colleague Benes, who is over there. If somebody wants to talk with us after. So we are online data and Web3 school, backed by Y Combinator and Tezos Foundation. So if you would like to join us or learn data science or data analytics or Web3 to be a Web3 developer, just talk to us. We will help you. But maybe after the call, after the talks today, the speakers are ready to talk with you. So we have people here. I think lots of people will be joining as well. And we have online community who also joined. If you have questions, this is like an open platform to ask during the speeches, especially for Andros, for Monica, who's joining online, and for Ada, who's joining online as well. So, but first and foremost, I would like to welcome to the stage and give a mic to very own co-founder of Lift99 and co-founder of SaltoX company, Elise Sass. Welcome.
Thank you, Monica. Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm one of the co-founders of Lift99 and also one of the co-founders of SaltoX. So Lift99 seems to be a offline community where we're sitting right now as a co-working space. The difference with Lift99 and any other physical spaces like that has always been that the idea of opening a physical space from the beginning has been to connect communities and connect people, and to really encourage any ideas, any starting projects, gather more information, gather more data in order to build and grow. So this is why this physical space, and for those who are online reviewing and viewing us, then it's always been part of connecting a lot of different backgrounds. And the founders of Lift99 are serial entrepreneurs themselves, including me, which means that it has been both as a hobby and the starting point to really make sure that we give the members of Lift99 what they would expect, and also vice versa, that the Lift99 members in here and also in an online world are those who care about input, who care about sharing their ideas, not hiding behind secrets and saying that I have an amazing idea, but I can't share because otherwise you would steal it. That much from Lift99, and one of the things that definitely here at Lift99 in Tallinn and in Kiev and in the online world, Lift99 does is connecting different kind of organizations, from schools that are teaching new technologies to also maybe topics that touch more of old school things. A little bit of, we have this Web3 idea, right, and why I'm on stage as well. Then a little bit of background myself. So I'm not a fanatic of blockchain nor Web3. A year ago, crypto world was something that I was aware that is happening. I heard the stories here at the Lift99 kitchen. I'm always interested in people talking about topics that they are aware of, that they're passionate about. Whether now it's Web3 and crypto, whether it's about medical innovation, whether it's about biotechnology, doesn't matter. Crypto has always been like these two things at the same time, right? For some, it seems to be that is something weird, something too hazy, crazy, gray area where they don't want to go, and hype, which has been visible with the crypto markets collapsing together, or already before the rest of the world economy was collapsing. But completely different parts in this crypto world is the technology, then the Web3, the blockchain, and the ideas behind that. That it's not just about the networking that the social medias do and then so-called Web2 allows, but it's about really making sure that the data that we have out there is confirmed that the data is correct. And this is one of the fundamental things that builds these new ways of building technologies, the products, and the services as well. What we are doing at Salto-X is, as Salto-X founders and the team, we have also been part of, not just in Estonia, but startups elsewhere. Together with the COVID time, remote teams grew enormously. Before that, we already had teams who had team members across the borders. Not just team members, there are different type of relationships that they have. So some are employees, you sign this official employment agreement, you're an official employee. Many are freelancers with just having a service agreement, where they might offer services for 2 or 3 companies at the same time about the specific experts that they have. Some might be working, for example, through services like Let's Deal. It's kind of an employment agreement as well, but not directly to the company that you're working for and that you have your daily online meetings with. So all of these functions already. But in the startup world, what startups really like to do, and the people who work for startups, especially in their first years, is to get some of the piece of their future success. And often in jurisdiction meaning inside a country, it's easy to solve those problems and the solutions. If the countries have solved how to really, for example, use ESOP programs, so employee share option programs, give them the possibility to buy shares with a discounted price in the future. Taking a step further, in Europe, where we have more than 20 countries, all of those countries have different rules on that. And it depends on where the company is located, but these kind of relationships and the taxes, the contracting also depend where the person is. Tax-based and also living. And now add people who are traveling all the time anyway, so they are not located. So what we are doing is, with the help of blockchain technologies, we are helping the companies to share the future success with the people that are working for them today. It doesn't matter what the relationship officially is, whether it's an employment agreement, whether it's a service agreement or anything else. And our first target group is specifically the remote employees. So those who are not working for the company here, for example in Estonia, or in Latvia, if the company is in Latvia, but across the borders. And when we first started to find solutions for that problem, then it's a legal issue, right? It seems that we should, fix all the legal things and then it would be fine. And why we ended up building a blockchain technology to support all of that is also the reason that we see that the blockchain technology is the one that will come hand in hand with different legal frameworks, and as different jurisdictions and countries also need to find solutions how to figure out these cross-border relationships, employment, anything about other things, then the blockchain is a technology that allows all these countries to also check and make sure that what has been promised in the past is what really was there. Otherwise, the legal frameworks, documentations, different kind of notaries, what you would accept in one country is not often accepted in other countries. Expectations are different. But again, this is where the blockchain technology comes in. You have all the markers, all the data that are needed in order to confirm that the participants, for example, the company and the person who is doing work for the company, have really agreed on specific details. And on another note, we are still in a Web2 world as well, with this kind of old ways, and building and making sure that in those countries the legal documentation would be correct as well. While the blockchain allows to formalized and then check many of the details in a running way so that the companies and the participants can be sure that what they were promised is, for example, the same way for all of the participants. That was the intention of the company. So what I'm really saying with all of this as well is, you know, the startups and the technology and the innovation, it's all about really connecting the details in a way that have not been used before and solving the problems in order to find new solutions while using new technology as well. So we should all continue to keep our eyes open and see what we can use the technology. Our next speaker will have a very cool example of where the blockchain technology actually becomes handy and how it can save our planet. So it's wider than just us in here, and much wider than buying and selling some crypto money in a few $1,000 and losing or winning on the way. That's my intro. And if you're ready for questions, I can do that. Do you have any questions from the audience or?
I do.
Yes, go ahead.
Just one. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, do you use NFT in some way using this? So you are granting a share with NFT?
So what we're actually doing is that we're granting a promise for the future.
Okay.
So,
in the form of NFT, for example.
Exactly. In the form of an NFT. NFT is a promise that is given to you. It has the data details that you would need, and but it's also backed with the legal documentation as well, based on the country framework where you are.
Okay, and just one more. When does, let's say, promise become taxable?
Taxes are very important questions, and currently, for example, the tax authority has said that as it's a promise, it doesn't have any value, then it's not taxed until you actually cash it out. So when we go deeper into what is that promise, then you can cash out from that promise when the company goes through a partial or full exit. If the real shareholders are selling their parts, they will proportionally give you the money as well. Until then, there is no value in your promise. And this is what most of the startups, derive for, right? That you would grow, you would be able to partially or fully exit. And it's very important to also support the partial exit. So it's not full exit. Because often, it's not everybody who exits the company, but for example, the first seed or pre-seed investors would be interested to exit in maybe 5 or 6 years, but the founders mostly would still try to stay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You said that this is an NFT with promises, all the future promises. What did come under the regime of security tokens and then regulated so heavily with all the security laws?
I'm going to repeat the question just for online as well. So the question was that whether the NFT would be considered as a security token. Again, the answer in here is no as well, both from the tax authorities and from the big fours in here. Why is it? Because it's just a promise. It's a promise from me to you, and it's not a security. The other thing would be if it would become tradable, which is one of the directions we will go to, then yes, there is a direction that this could be considered as a security. And I think as you're already asking these questions as well, then you are probably also aware that the whole Europe, countries and also Europe as a general, are really trying to find solutions how to really not just legalize, but how to build the framework around this crypto, different types of tokens. And the issue often is that the laws are behind what has been already happening. There's another motivation and optimism, what I think many blockchain companies also know is Europe also has a huge motivation to build a proper framework for tokens, for crypto, so that it would be good to actually use the technologies here. But you also understand it's not just about the crypto money, it's technology and it's the possibilities of using the technology that we would need to use. And why Europe is motivated, if we would take AI or some other big technologies, then other huge areas like China or US have already won in there. So there is motivations to really find not just, very strict rules so that nobody could do anything, but really figure out what could be done at the same time considering that the bad ways how to use crypto would be foreseen as well. Any other questions?
No, so thank you so much, and applause to Elise.
Thank you.
Thanks so much once again. The next speaker is definitely a, I don't know how to call it, but Estonian IT tech guru, Andrus Aaslaid from Single Earth. So, Andrus, we saved you some time, so 35 minutes. You have 4 to you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for Turing College and Liz for having me. And I'm probably asked to be on this topic as a sort of, how to say, a cautious reminder from the past that I've been in the tech scene through a couple of crises, and can you tell how it ends? So yeah, I also learned about 20 minutes ago that my slot is 45 or now 35 minutes instead of 15. So I will be speaking really slow. Anyway, I'll sit down anyway. So, yes, I'm Andrus, I'm from Single Earth. And, well, the company is almost exactly 3 years old. And about 1.5 years ago, all of a sudden, everybody were starting to call us as a Web3 company, especially investors who were delighted to learn that, oh, you are a Web3 company. Oh, yes, check. And, well, the biggest problem with that was that I wasn't exactly sure what the Web3 company should do or what the Web3 company would be. Then I had to check it out online and realizing that most of the people haven't still yet come to agreement what the Web3 means. So, so far for the last 2 years, everybody's been asking if it's a Web3 company. I've said convincingly yes, hoping that nobody will ask why it is a Web3 company. And just to put it in a perspective what the company does, so we tokenize nature, literally. And the pitch goes something like that, that if you are a landowner today, then there is a problem that we are paying as a society only when you destroy it. So if you are a forest owner, you will be getting paid when you cut your trees down and sell them as a timber. But meanwhile, and then everybody's pointing fingers at you, saying that you're a bad person for doing so. But meanwhile, this same forest is producing a lot of things which nobody is paying you for, but everybody's using. So it is contributing to the CO2 sequestration, it is providing a clean air, it is being a habitat for many animals which support other animals, which support our food production. It is contributing a lot to the water ecosystem and climate ecosystem locally. And somehow we as a society have totally missed the fact that you are providing all these services to everybody for free. And there are no methods to actually incentivize them either. So what we started to build was that, okay, let's build a digital twin of the world, literally, or at least start modeling ecosystem by ecosystem what the nature does. And let's tokenize it. Let's try to quantify what is the product of all these lands and all these services the nature provides, and let's give those tokens then to the landowner and have landowner selling them to somebody. And it looked like a cool idea, so pitched it at one of the hackathons here in Estonia 3 years ago. Everybody were generous enough to pronounce us winners, and then couch surfing from one accelerator to another, we managed to make a couple of financing rounds, and now the company is 70-something people strong and 3 years old. 2 financing rounds later, we finally came to market because, like one of the data scientists once said, who worked with us, said, everything is simple unless you start doing it. And that was pretty much the case in our case as well. That the pitch is really simple. Okay, let's tokenize the nature. Let's make it reflecting the value in tokens, sell the tokens, give money to landowner, everybody go happy home, planet is safe, we get rich, all good. Well, It starts from employing 20 scientists, 12 PhDs at the moment. Having 20 scientists agreeing on something in an environment when you have a pressure from the monetary side, investor side, market side, competitor side, and the whole world going down in flames, not an easy task. They kind of need their time to come up to the conclusions, what's right, what's wrong, and even when it's right, it's still the question, can I say it with my own name? Maybe somebody thinks it's ridiculous. And it's a fair kind of situation to be, because this is how science operates. It's quite conservative, that's why it's science, not Facebook. And so it's been quite an interesting journey, because, and now we're getting to the part why I'm here, because I've been in tech for quite a long time. We started in '96 actually in the Silicon Valley, taking over Estonian company that was just a bunch of freshly graduated Soviet engineers, and realized that there is a need for some sort of cowboys in US, because the US engineering was back then quite stagnating. There was a Silicon Valley culture was mostly back from the guys who were from the HP type of culture, or Intel or IBM, or something very conservative. Everything which had to be done through the engineering change orders, or the ECOs, which probably took a week to go from one end of the company to another. And well, you didn't have internet, or at least you didn't have much internet back then. So all your internet connection was still dial-up mostly, and there wasn't any large-scale CRMs or any other type of information management systems available for the small engineering companies. So the culture back in '96 was quite stagnating, and then Silicon Valley realized that if you take a post-Soviet engineers who are basically geniuses if you give them duct tape, because they haven't seen duct tape before, and if they've been given a duct tape, they'll be very inventive with it, and if you give them tie wraps, they'll become even more inventive, and then, wow, vice grips. You give them vice grips, and they can fix everything with the vice grips, because they're so fascinated about those tools. And we became a kind of, the post-Soviet engineers became kind of celebrities in the Silicon Valley, and all of us got employed for money which was ridiculous, but we thought it's good, and they thought it's ridiculous, and everybody went happy home. And then, of course, the whole internet thing started to happen. And this history lesson is a little bit important, because sometimes I'm saying that every crisis starts the same, but then it's different. And it was a lot like today. So if you ask that, okay, what is the Web3 relevance to the, or internet relevance to the Web3 or vice versa, then the tech bubble was building back in 90s, started probably somewhere in 98, 97. It was starting to emerge exactly as you would see the crypto bubble starting off, or whatever tech bubble we can call it today. And the first signs, of course, is this sheer optimism that the future will be bright. And well, at the beginning, when people start telling that the future is bright, you always have those guys saying that, well, come on guys, it'll crash regularly, so it's going to be 10 years and it's going to go down the drain. And at the very beginning, back in 97, 98, everybody will actually listen to that. Oh yeah, you've seen some crisis. You remember the oil crisis back in 70s. Yes, we trust you that this crisis will come sooner or later, so let's all be careful. And this is the phase where I think money has passed me the closest. I'm now having something which many people think will become a unicorn, but I think that case was closer to become rich for me, and that was when one of the guys who ran the company we were working for, actually the founder of the company we were doing subcontracting to, came back from San Francisco and said, you know guys, and it was 98, you know guys, I was a very don't know, maybe you even know them. And they were trying to raise like ridiculous amount of money, like 500,000, which is quite a bunch of money for the fucking search engine. And they say that they can do it faster and better. But it was exactly like Alta Vista, but yeah, I should actually give you that. It was fast, so you might check it out. And we all went to the computers and checked out what was Google. What a strange name. Google, wow, it's really fast. And merrily, everybody went on with their lives. They didn't invest, we didn't invest, nobody paid any more attention. So if anybody in that room would have put $100 to Google that day, money problem solved for the rest of their lives. So, no, we didn't, because it was 98 and two strange named guys were pitching in San Francisco trying to raise $500,000 for Google. So, well, search engine, nobody even called it Google back then, except them. Anyway, fast forward a year or two, money was oozing from all kind of orifices of everything. I mean, you open the door and then there's an investment, and people will not even come to work for you if you don't give them stock options, and the stock options back then were exactly like they are today. And the investment climate changed from the, okay, there will be a next crisis, it's changed to this time it's different. And you can almost judge the dynamics of the economic bubble and the tech that it's gonna be bad when people are starting to tell this time it's different. And lo and behold, I've been told during this crisis back in November last year that this time it's all different, it's not gonna happen. I said, well, really? Nice. And scared the heck out of me, because then it was clear that there will be crisis. And the problem with that is that people, there is this term from the poker, which is called pot committed. You have put so many money on the table that you can't fold anymore. You have to see what's on the table, because the stakes have been too high. And this is what happens on the investment world as well, that sooner or later those people who are saying that, guys, economy is cyclic, it's gonna go down because it's against thermodynamic laws, will start losing their voice in the boardrooms, because everybody wants to have the party going on forever, so nobody wants to be the messenger that I think the Excel is broken a long time ago. And no, let's fix the Excel by putting more money in it. And there is a lot of money, and of course on the crisis this time we have been doing everything that there would be a lot of money, because we had another crisis before that where we had all excuses to print money to save wealth during the COVID. So this money was now all free to come to the tech sector, or go to crypto, or go to anywhere else. And so if we try to compare it to the 2000 and 2001, there are a lot of similarities between an internet sector and the Web3 sector today, and or at least before the crash happened. And like I said, the most aggressive parallel would be that everybody thinks that the party is going on forever, so everybody's living like there's no tomorrow, and it's a little bit too late to talk about it today, but just to prepare you for the next crisis, that the most difficult thing is that everybody expects you to make bad choices. Even if you are the sane one in the room saying that, come on, I was working at the, like my CFO back then was saying, well, I've worked at the McKinsey in the last crisis. Guys, it's exactly the same. Have you gone crazy? And you kind of feeling that you've become crazy, but the only answer you can go is that, yes, but I'm expected to, so let's go on with all this madness. And you will live like no tomorrow. And this is the kind of epicenter of the crisis. This is where, if you have a hurricane, and in the middle of the hurricane, there's this very calm, nice weather, and probably the blue blue sky as well. And this is the epicenter of the crisis. This is where everything you measure is good. You have money, you have people, you have this huge optimism everywhere. You go from stage to stage saying how cool all that is. Yet, it's a hurricane around. There's a cows flying back and forth. There are already people who are taking in the huge collateral damages. There is real economy who's shrinking around you. So there is like old guys having a factories, closing them down because nobody's buying their crap anymore. So somewhere at the edges of this hurricane, there is a mayhem going on. But you are tech, you are at the center of it. You have very nice, beautiful, clear sky. And you don't see that there's a mayhem around. Anyway, this is probably, if we start comparing dates, this is probably December last year. And then, of course, inevitable happens. The thermodynamic laws kick in. The center of the hurricane gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and some escape it somewhere, and some don't. And that was probably back in 2001 when it started to decompose. And of course, every crisis is a little bit different. So I think this is where a lot of parallels now end. And then we try to solve the crisis. Then we need to really start looking what's different, what we can do differently this time. And if we take now the topic a little bit closer to the home and start talking about Web3, then we really need to figure out on the crypto and the Web3 and the tech sector this time that what is different from 2001. What can we fix? Because the dynamic of the monetary markets have so far been pretty much the same as back then. So if we do everything the same way, then everything goes the same way as well. And, well, a lot of people will lose a lot of money and jobs. So, the similarity is, of course, that the Web3 is like an internet back in 2000. That nobody exactly can put a finger on it, what it is. Back in 2000, the internet was pretty much defined as you will have your shit in other people's computer. And I'm afraid you have heard that definition for Web3 as well, that your web is now not going to be in centrally hosted servers, but it's going to be in other people's computer. So in the definition is a little bit similar. Nobody can put a finger what it exactly is, but everybody has a feeling what it could be and what it could become, which is important because this is fueling the optimism. 2000, this is an internet, this is going to be in everybody's computer, nobody knows what it's good for, but having an interweb of things certainly should become useful for something, and look at all the libraries we can have on our fingertips. Back then everybody was sincerely hoping that the libraries will be the key. If we can digitalize all the libraries, people will have all the knowledge in the world, will become so much more productive that we will be able to change the world and solve the world hunger and go to Mars. Little did they know that Facebook will happen and the science goes down the drain and Earth becomes flat. This time, it's going to be in other people's computer. It's going to be the most secure infrastructure you can build. It's going to be distributed. There will be a huge number of people taking care that the data integrity will not be compromised. We'll have this huge, massive ecosystem on our hands, which allows us to create a very secure applications with a very fast access times, with almost no money. And, well, lo and behold, so much as I can tell it holds today. We really never have had such an infrastructure in our hands, which allows us to do such secure things with almost no money. So far so good. Now, one big difference is, and if you want to really look at the dynamics of the crisis in 2001, was look at how YouTube was behaving. Because YouTube started off as a sort of thing people can put their videos on, and it made no money whatsoever because nobody realized how to monetize it. Everybody was talking about that we can monetize it through the advertising, but online advertising was in its infancy back then. And then somebody came up with the concept that the value of the internet is how many users you have. And back in 2000, almost everything was counted by how many users you have. And back in 2021, it was exactly the same. Most of the startups were measured of how large waiting list they have, how much potential users you can scavenge from the market and address, and then become profitable. A major difference now is that during the dot-com crisis, that survived throughout the entire crisis, so that YouTube, despite making no money whatsoever, had a huge number of users, both sides, content and people, content and users. And what happened was that it started to gain value just because it had potential users. Nobody knew how to make money out of those users, but everybody was feeling really, really satisfied from the idea that we have millions of people to address. Let's have more users. Sooner or later, we'll find out how to get money from them. So far, let's just have more users. And I think YouTube was sold back and forth between different companies about 3 or 4 or 5 times during the middle of the crisis, each time multiplying their value with almost tenfold. And this is the major difference this time. If we have learned something from the last crisis, it is that, okay, money still matters. And you basically ended up at somewhere in February. Before the war, it was even a little bit easier. But after the war, you basically saw the VCs coming from the insane valuations from the companies making proratas on the absolutely ridiculous rates. You saw them switching overnight to the mode of, okay, if it's pre-revenue, we'll scratch it from the Excel. And so there was this clear red line across the world on all the Excel sheets of the VCs and the LPs saying that if it's pre-revenue, then it has to be a pre-round as well. Before that, you had those A rounds happening and sometimes even B rounds happening in pre-revenue companies because of the same idea. You have users, you have waiting lists, you have huge tailwind on what you're doing. You will be clearly making money in the future, so why not put more money in and have you building it for the time when it's becoming lucrative? And this is the major difference which you have to look at because now if you have like 1,000 paying customers, it's better than having 100,000 on the waiting list, and that has changed in the last 6, 7, 8 months, and that never changed during the dot-com. That was never the thing. YouTube, I think it makes money now, but YouTube didn't make any dime for the decade after the crisis was over even, because everybody saw the potential in the people. And so this time, making a dog and pony show with your future customers has become much more difficult. But at the same time, people need hope. People can't live without hope. And so the tech sector, in every crisis and in every few years, we need this huge paradigm shift that would fuel the hope that tomorrow's tech sector is better than today's tech sector. And so in 90s, that was a internet, or end of 90s, pretty much 95 till 2001. Then it became mobile. The 2000s, beginning of the 2000s was pretty much the mobile era, where everybody said that the mobile will take the world. And just a fun fact that you often don't realize how fast those changes are taking place, because I was writing once a very convincible article about the future of how we use data from the mobile phones. And my main statement was that in the future, it's almost like we'll have a moon basis. In the future, we're gonna use our mobile phones not for talking, but we'll probably use it for consuming a small snippets of the data while we are idle, browsing through some really what our friends and families are doing, and And I was feeling really, really proud about it, that I figured it out. It was printed in the newspaper, and the newspaper was thinking it's a good article. And the stupidest thing is, it was 2012. It was exactly 10 years ago when the visionary thought that this is where the future is. Yeah, the future is there, but nobody would have thought that. We didn't know it 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, we didn't know that we're going to use Facebook as we do. So some things are happening like really, really, really fast. And then, okay, first 2000s, mobile. And then, of course, back in 2015, everybody realized that shoot, crypto and blockchain is becoming a thing. And that was about the time when I was, a couple of years later, I was employed by the Pricewaterhouse as a AI and intelligent technologies lead here in Estonia. And my big idea was that let's preach AI and blockchain to everybody, because that's really going to change an industry, and that's really going to make Estonia proud, because if everybody has an AI assistant, then everybody becomes so much more productive. And what happened was that I was a very lousy blockchain consultant, because I was trying to talk most of the people out of it, because most use cases were really stupid and really counterproductive. And with AI, we had a different problem, that when I was trying, I really believed in AI back then, and like 2015 on, it was really about an AI, and everybody thought that this is the next big thing. And then with an AI, I found myself regularly speaking on a stage like that, preaching how good AI is. And then somebody later on approached me from the audience and said, really well done. The moment we get our CRM out of Excel, we're certainly thinking about going an AI with our company. And I realized, sure, there is like a couple of iterations missing in the food chain before AI could even be considered, not yet used. So the tech bubble moves always ahead of what companies actually are at. And this is, what I think, something which Web3 has a huge edge, and blockchain has a huge edge. Because back when we started to preach it in 2015, it wasn't ready yet. Most of the companies weren't ready for that. Most of the people weren't thinking about the right terms. You had, I don't know, a small laundry houses trying to put the blockchain in their slides so that they would get investment from somewhere. Why would you use blockchain for? No, it looks good. And we could put probably accounting on it. Why would we put an accounting on a blockchain? To get money from investors. Okay, well, makes sense. Anyway, the Web3 environment today, we can pretty much say that it's ready. Maybe you could say that there's a lot of things to do, but if you wanted to start a business like Single Earth and you need to tokenize something, have a value which you can prove later that existed at any point of time, make it tradable between people or just transferable between people, and have it with a very high data integrity, then a decade ago you would have spent a fortune of building that infrastructure yourself, and it still wouldn't have been secure enough, because it would have totally relied on the promises you give, or you would have to find a bank to be your partner or somebody else being your partner who would put this Intel, IBM, whoever, who would put this trust in you, saying that your data is secure. Today, you will be able to do the same thing basically during the evening. It's basically coming. It takes more time to select the platform and the different features than actually implementing it. And it will take the heck more time to get the legislation right around what you're doing than actually having a technical problem. I'm talking about this a little bit later, what could potentially kill the Web3. So, as a technology, it has become ready. And people are starting to see the first use cases that data integrity becomes the thing. Everybody attacks the heck out of everybody in the world. We have basically nothing we can trust if it's online, because everything can be tampered. So the solution, blockchain is a quite good solution for all of that. You will have to have an extraordinary large amount of people being dishonest for that ecosystem to collapse. And we've never had that before. So why I'm a strong believer that the Web3 could be what everybody's telling, that this may survive the tech crisis, is that that technology solves a lot of problems that we have in the world. Now, why it could die? With a single Earth, we have about 1/3 of the people being scientists who figure out how to put together the ecosystem services value the way that it's convincing. And I have, I think, 12 PhDs on the environmental sciences working for the single Earth at the moment. Altogether, I think 20 environmental scientists, 5 data scientists. And we are very, very science heavy. I thought that could be a problem, and it's a little bit easy because scientists take a long time to agree, like I said before. But I have another 20, 25 in tech. And you think that, okay, implementing a totally unknown blockchain, which Solana was for us when we started to use it, would become a problem because you have to teach your people and the learning curve is long. Still, well, it kind of is, but it's not a problem because it's engineering, you'll figure it out. I have 20 people on the business side, a legal team, and honestly, the hardest thing implementing Single Earth's business has been an ability to take money from the customers. Ability to take money from the customers who want to give you money, because what happened was that all legislators started to treat Web3 environment as it would be a cryptocurrency. And since this was a totally new paradigm, we ended up in a situation where nobody knew how to access or how to tackle it from the perspective of the legislation, because everybody understood that, well, there's something big happen, we are a government, so we have to regulate it, but what's there to regulate? And nobody tells us either, and then everybody says us to get a call from here, not regulate anything at all, but we're a government, we have to regulate, there's a new paradigm change. And what they finally came up with, especially after cryptocurrencies got big a thing in 2015, 16, they realized that the only thing that can be regulated successfully, because governments have past experience how to do it, is the membrane where the crypto and blockchain becomes a fiat. The layer where the real money is traveling between the institutions which deal with blockchains and the ordinary old-time economy. It's becoming worse and worse. They are regulating it more and more. They're creating a more and more uncertainty because of not regulating it, but promising to rain hell on it. And this is really becoming a big problem because you literally building a DAO, or distributed organization of any kind, or a blockchain organization of any kind, you really have a difficult time of getting real money from the real people. As long as you operate in crypto, you're probably happy. As the moment when you start, and in our case, we are dealing with the real money because we are paying the landowners with the real cash, not cash, bank transfers. The moment you start dealing with real money, you'll really get in trouble because you are finding yourself on the crossroads of basically every financial KYC, AML, know whatever, everything legislation there is. So basically becoming a blockchain company who deals with the real money, you'll become simultaneously a crypto company and fall in many financial regulations which may not affect even you, but affect your partners, because, for example, your bank all of a sudden has to treat you differently because, oh, okay, you have this crypto license. Interesting. Okay. Let's put you with other criminals just on this other list, just in case. And because they are worried about their businesses, they are worried about their licenses, they are worried about the fact that they could go down the drain with it and have to give you a very, very close look of what kind of business you do, what kind of operations you do. So I think infrastructure is there, and there are more and more business cases every day what we now can access, and it has a real world use cases. What could kill it is because it's in many ways the cyberpunk rebel ecosystem, what has been in science fiction books for decades, and it's finally here. And governments would not be too happy about this being there because it's a decentralized system. We're going to see the companies, or I think we're already seeing the companies who don't have an ownership. You have a cryptographic entity as a DAO operating in some sort of trust fund umbrella, having a algorithmic trade mechanism of making money. People are building these companies. There's not even a beneficiary. This is purely that the only beneficiary would be the guy who's holding a share in that company. But the company's wealth is basically inaccessible to everybody, governments, stakeholders, everybody else. You will have an algorithmic companies who get the heck out of the stock market, the real estate market, of everything else, and you don't have even anybody to tax for. How good is that? So there will be departments and departments of people trying to regulate it in many different ways. So I think it's probably been a part of the history lesson, part of the what I think is coming. So I don't know if it has any value, but at least a couple of foods for thought. Really try to show revenue. It's not .com. It's not about how many waiting lists you have anymore. It's about how much of your waiting list converts. And these days, the waiting list conversion is a little bit of a headache, so be prepared. And the other thing is that the Web3 as a technology has matured, so sell it as such. We don't know where the economy is going, nobody does, which is a good thing, actually. One big difference from .com was that in .com, a structural damage was a tech sector mostly, which meant that everybody else was laughing. Today, there is no safe haven. There is no place to put your money. Gold is behaving erratically, US dollar is behaving erratically, everything else is going down the drains, real estate is overpriced, consumption is going down, so metals are not that good. You basically have no asset class which would be safe. And this is a good thing in a sense that you don't have money pouring out from the tech market. It's still there because it has no place to go. It'll go away the moment people realize where to put it, but it hasn't happened yet because there is no such asset class which seems to be safe. So this is one thing which works for the favor of the tech sector because like I said, in 2001 everybody was buying everything else because tech was just worse than everything else. Not tech, internet was worse than everything else. And today we don't see that. The other thing is that the same works for the benefit of the crypto sector. That if you look at the coin market cap, long time total cap, then we see that we've been for the last couple of months coasting close to 1 trillion, and that's also the reason that this would have been collapsed badly if that money would have found a way of going anywhere. And crypto almost is not relevant maybe to the Web3, that these are two different things. One is a technology, one is one of the use cases, but still it creates a bias. If crypto goes down, the blockchain will be blamed that it's not a good technology. So the fact that the crypto is holding stable is sort of creating this background supportive structure saying that it's not too bad. And lo and behold, when Singular was starting 3 years ago, I think the total crypto market was somewhere like 250, 270 billion. And now it's at close to 1 trillion, 900 something. So it's already, after all the crashes which have happened, it's already still almost 4 times bigger than it was 3 years ago. So it's not a bad place to be. And at the moment, once again, no safe asset class, which means that money doesn't ooze out fast. And the other thing would be that since the governments are regulating the heck out of it, it's more and more difficult to get the money out of the crypto, which means that it will stay there. You can choose if you want to have a little bit rich in cash or filthy rich in crypto, and so many people are opting in that if they can't get the money nicely out from the crypto, they better be crypto millionaires and take it and sell as much as they need for the mortgage and hope everything goes better. So I think that's also something that a lot of assets are locked in the crypto and that don't move there for the tax reasons anywhere else. So there's a slight optimism that the ecosystem holds, mostly because everything is in fire, there's nowhere to run. But this is also the opportunity then that don't panic. The world is in flames. If it goes totally down the drains, you can't do anything anyway. And so far, there is no reason to believe that the tech sector would be taking a worse, will not be hit more than any other sector. So it's a structural damage. If we and the tech sector will die, we will die together with everybody else, not alone. And I think that's a positive note on that. So thank you.
Any questions? Yeah.
I will ask about the merit tokens. Can we bring here a parallel of carbon credits? So companies do buy carbon credits or green bonds to offset their negative environmental impact or become positive impact. So it's somewhat institutionalized also the market. And of course, carbon sequestration is also an ecosystem service that the forest provides, but maybe we'll have a larger merit credit in the future.
Yes, so repeating the question, I don't know if it was audible from the microphone, but the question was the parallel between merit tokens and the carbon credits. That are they similar? Are they different? Are they for the same thing? We started off actually thinking that it's going to be a carbon credit, and 3 years ago the idea was that let's sell carbon from the forest. We then slowly started to build what we today call a holistic model of the nature, because what we learned was that, or quite fast learned, was that the carbon is only like a little bit of what's wrong with the world. Yes, this is a climate change. Yes, this is our biggest part of emission. And today it has changed a little bit. But 3 years ago, we were pretty good on track with carbon emission reductions on the EU scale. We were almost making the 2050 goal of reducing emissions back to the 90s level. But if we were looking at the ecosystem health, then we realized that we are basically in the middle of the mass extinction. We are losing habitats really, really fast. And so we redesigned all the science a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, to be supporting an existing habitats and existing ecosystems and not only being focused by carbon. So today we still say that the one merit token is an equivalent of 100 kilograms of carbon, because mostly these are the sort of narratives people are used to think about, that okay, carbon saves the world, or less carbon saves the world. But even today, we already talk about that this has to be a biodiverse carbon. And we are focusing on the mature forests, and we are focusing on protecting an existing ecosystems with the merit token. So today, when we evaluate the land, we have a criteria which define how long it had to be there undisturbed, so that we would take it on our platform. So we're building more models to describe more ecosystem services. So the carbon credits is only a small part of it, but we don't call ourselves even offset today, because we don't want to be a carbon offset. We want to be an instrument which reflects the value of the nature and then makes money from that nature for the owner.
How is merit token being treated as of today? Can we say it's a utility token because it's for the ecosystem, within the ecosystem?
Yes, it has a utility value. We've been busy designing it the way that it would be possible to use for the company's ESG accounting. So basically, it is an instrument what companies would be using for mitigating their ESG goals. And that becomes a utility value of that.
But what is the, you said you're working that direction. What is the status today? Is it just a tradable token? Big buy and sell?
We are, for the last 2 weeks, we have been selling actively, but we are operating today on the custodian wallets. So it means that the landowner and the buyer both are on custodian wallets on our system. Is probably at the end of November, we are going to the first exchanges with it. And so then it becomes a publicly tradable instrument. And currently the utility value is established as we speak. We are working with the KPMG at the moment and a couple of others to actually outline for the companies how to account it as a ESG instrument. Yeah.
One more. Please excuse my ignorance, but is it your own chain and your own wallet, or is it
Solana? Solana, and it may be useful for some that why Solana, because we were almost 1.5 years into the business where we still didn't know what blockchain we're going to be using, and in many ways the fact which blockchain you use for your infrastructure is almost irrelevant from the business perspective largely at the beginning, because it's a microdynamics, but it doesn't change what your business is doing. And so I was having a lot of strange conversation with the people saying that we are a Web3 company and we are a blockchain company and we are building tokens and we are building cryptocurrency, and people asked, oh yeah, what blockchain? Oh, I don't know. And that's stupid, but I really didn't, because we weren't there yet. And then at some point when we started really openly saying that our cryptocurrency will be launched in the fall 2022, it kind of felt that I can't say we don't know what chain we will launch it, so had to figure it out. And the criteria to choose the blockchain for a Web3 project is really difficult, because there are zillions of options and they all look plausible. So how we did it was basically that since we are doing the green stuff, we couldn't use any of the proof of work chains because we would have neglected most of the good what we do, just one transaction. So all of the proof of work had to go. Then what was remaining of the proof of stake was how many Haskell programmers I know, and since I knew none, then everything which had Haskell and its derivatives had to go. And then we started to look at the actual use cases that, okay, we want to build a tradable instrument, so we need to have a chain which is listed somewhere in the exchanges so that we could be pegging in there without actually introducing the new chain anywhere. It has to have a significant throughput because we want to operate most of the stuff in chain, which means that the slower chains don't just work. And by eliminating one by one, because of doesn't match this criteria, doesn't match that criteria, rates too low in a coin market cap and stuff like that, we basically came down with a short list of 5, 6, 7 different chains. And then we're starting to choose from there. So finally we came down to the 3, Algorand, Avalanche, and Solana. And Algorand had just launched some green partnership with somebody else, so we didn't want to compete for the PR with that other project. It was Avalanche and Solana, and then it becomes really a sort of a randomness, because back when we made the choice, the Avalanche had just made some strange posts from the founder's side, which kind of made them look very cocky on the ecosystem, and everybody was saying these are the strange people, we don't want to deal with them, and we looked, okay, maybe there's a reputational hazard, so let's use Solana. Okay, Solana had a reputational damage 1 month after, but we had chosen it back then already. So, so you basically go with an elimination method to see what fits best for you and then stick with it. Anybody else? Anything? Okay.
So thank you so much, Andres, and applause please.
Yeah, we will have right now a virtual people joining. I think they joined already. Just give us a second. Oh, they are both ready, so that's great. Can you hear us? Yeah. So two lovely ladies actually joining today from Vilnius, I think, both of them. Monica from Suderskia from Lossless. She's the Chief Marketing Officer. I think you can ask questions about losses as well, maybe a short intro before starting. And then we jump to Ada. Ada Janosha, she, I think right now residents in Berlin, but today she is in Vilnius. She will be telling her insights and stories. She started a startup called Limpo and exited recently, actually. So I will leave to the ladies to talk about more about their stories, and we start from Monica.
Yeah. Hi guys, can you give me a sign if you can hear me properly? Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I'll start then just from the message and thank you for having me, even in a virtual way. I just recently have become a mom, so flying for me is a bit not an option for some time, but we'll really love to come with my baby in some of the upcoming events when he's ready for them, because I really am awaiting when I will be able to introduce him to this beautiful world of Web3. And starting probably from there, why is it a beautiful world and what's the current situation of it? I believe most of the new users of this space sometimes make the mistake and the assumption that Web3 is crypto only, so it's only about cryptocurrencies, tokens, and so on. But generally speaking, that's a mistake because we need to separate two things. One is when we speak about cryptocurrencies, and another is when we speak about technology. Because sometimes, even though the cryptocurrency is at some projects' point the main focus, in other projects it's just like a supplementary element for you to maybe gain access into that technology or to get rewards from it. But the tech side is usually the core element. So we have to separate these two things. For example, the project I'm working in, Lossless, we work with security in Web3. We provide solutions in that. So we're purely tech. We have our own cryptocurrency, the LSS token, but it's more of a key, a ticket for you to get inside and to use the tools, but it's not the main focus for us to make the price go up, to pump it, and so on. Like it's usually said that we need to go to the moon and so on. So that's not really the focus for us, because you probably know or have heard of that. Just as in the stock markets, same as with cryptocurrencies and Web3, we have cycles as well. And currently we have the so-called crypto winter. So most of the people currently in this environment, Ada probably won't let me lie, are a bit disappointed, sad, they're very skeptic, and lots of people lost faith. You can actually always match when the market is down and when we have news portal headlines saying that Bitcoin is dead multiple times or that cryptocurrencies are down, so it's like the crypto world is also finished and so on. You can match these very well, but when the markets are up in crypto, you'll never see these headlines, probably just one or two in the public media. I mean, something like the New York Times and such. Like news portals that belong to the crypto world, like CoinDesk or Cointelegraph, they will always report to you what is happening properly in these markets. So currently we have a downtrend, but why it's not a bad thing. For traders, it sort of is, but they still look at the macros, at all the at the graphs where the tokens are going. Most of the situation, of course, belongs to where Bitcoin goes, so do the other cryptocurrencies. The effects are instant. However, it's a good thing because during bear markets, we call these periods bear markets. The good upsides are bull markets. So in this market, we are able to build. Okay, from my as a CMO's perspective, I love this period because the noise, it just shuts down. All the projects which are there only to gain traction, to get more followers, to make the token pump, like I said, they are basically gone because they don't have anything to say. They don't. Not all of them have products to build, or everything was just built on hype or the so-called fear of missing out. You can immediately see that when the markets are going down, these projects just lie down, and they more than enough. They don't have even enough of a cash runway for them to continue the building if you were doing something in the first place. So most of the players in this market, they'll tell you that the bear market is the best period to distinguish the projects which will rise, which will continue to build, and when the new cycle of a bull market kicks in, they're going to grow up instantly because they didn't stop building what they came in the market to do. For example, that's what we've been doing. We are one of the examples. I'm not afraid to say that, sorry if it sounds like boasting, but we have a proper cash runway to sustain our activities for a couple of years even ahead, when most of the projects have that kind of money for a few months only when such situations kick in. And we're already, actually today, we're releasing our tool number 5, which will allow to scan all of the transactions that you, for example, you are making. And if a situation happens where among those transactions there is a potential hacker, he is making malicious activity to steal money from a smart contract upon which all of the blockchain is built, we can instantly inform the owner of the smart contract that, hey, your smart contract is being exploited. That happens in a second only, and he can take action. Or he can use that tool of ours to give him the power to immediately cut off the transaction and just stop the hacker in that one spot. Basically blacklist his wallet address. May sound a bit difficult, but actually it's one of the breakthroughs that we have been aiming for, because what we work with is hack mitigation. Unfortunately, the market is still very young, even though it's growing very nicely. However, you probably noticed in the world as well that where you have instant growth, the security measures are like lacking to follow in time. So same we have here, and that's where we come in, the entire lossless team. We already have a so-called hack mitigation protocol, which allows to stop hacks from happening. For example, in the first half of this year, we've already lost $2.2 billion, which is enormous money. If you go quarter by quarter, you can see that the numbers are simply rising all the time. So meaning that security is super lacking, and we're just hoping that more projects are going to kick in and start building security measures, because there's just too many gaps to fill. And another thing is that most projects which are new into the industry, they don't take security seriously. They start thinking about security measures that they can apply or use only when the hack is basically breathing them in the neck, or it has already happened and they become a victim of that. Lost millions of money. For example, only 2 weeks ago, a so-called market maker, Wintermute, lost $160 million. And just because basically it was a phishing attack. So you click a link which leads you to where the hacker wants you to go and steals all of the money or gains access to your systems, and this way can exploit them. So we have multiple cases like that. But like I said, this entire period that we call the bear market is very good for projects which continue to build, because they are not only at the moment where they can build transparency and trust with the audience like yourselves. We can also continue building our tools in a, you could call it in a so-called silence. There's no noise, and what you want to tell to your audience, to your community, it very clearly goes through. So yeah, I give it a plus sign as a benefit actually, even though it comes with some disadvantages as well. So if we're talking about, if there are any founders in the audience that or maybe would love to create a project of their own, my tip would be to definitely focus on prepping enough of a cash runway for such situations, because you never know when this is going to crash. Nobody knew that the first market dip was going to happen this year in February. So it was a bigger one, and then more followed. But you need to prepare this, of course, and always evaluate properly your investments. We always look at, everybody knows that marketing usually is the one that eats all the money. But for example, when we do some decisions like whom to hire, to take an agency or not, or to hire a designer, or some content to build, we always evaluate what kind of a return of investment it potentially is going to bring back. If it doesn't look like it's gonna give us that result we're anticipating for, we're probably not going to invest, because if you talk with influencers in this market, you'd also see that when we have a bull market, some of them can cost $40,000, $50,000 just because they'll do a 5-minute review about your project for their audience that we've accumulated. And when there's a downtrend of the market, those prices are going to drop, but for you, your money is also, it has become more valuable, so you don't want to invest that much either. So we have this evaluation process where you always have to look out for the return that you're going to get. And of course, from my communications perspective, is to show the work of your team that they're constantly building, and always ensure your community and talk with them. The most important thing is to keep the communications running, that your team is building as they have promised to do. Always constantly repeat that the project is not going anywhere, because one minor thing can cause multiple theories about how you're going to bankrupt or how you're going to run away with all of the money in the project. One person can come into your community and start so-called flooding your uncertainty, doubt. So one message can actually wreak havoc in the entire community. So always talk in such situations with your community, actually extend it to much more, so that even like team members coming over to Telegram chats or to Discord, whichever platform you use, so that team members themselves are talking with community members, not your moderators. So from the tips perspective, this market is, like I said, the perfect period to build. Just you need to focus on these core things to constantly ensure your community that you're there, that you're building, and of course, always evaluate investments that you make during this time, so that proper return would come back to you. At least that's the road that we picked, and for us, in this time, everything is going very, very smoothly. Yeah, that would be my insights on the current market situation.
Sorry, yeah, coming back. Thank you so much, Monica. Applause to her. I think she can hear you. That's good. And Ada, the floor is yours. Virtual floor is yours.
Okay, wonderful. I hope I'm also well heard. So yeah, my story is I started building Limpo, the company that I recently left, in summer 2017. And we have raised funds just before the first crypto winter, or like the first I experienced. It was pretty bad. So we held a lot of our funds in cryptocurrencies. We were maybe not so aware of how to manage our treasury, and we were lucky to have survived the difficult years. It was actually, so the crypto high was in December 2017, and since then it came back, or like market started moving in a positive direction in maybe summer 2020, at least then, when there was more interest, DeFi protocols were booming. So, you know, now we don't know how long this period is gonna last, but like if we had the all-time high prices back in November, we might be looking for another 1.5 years. So it's like 18 months. It can be shorter, it can be longer. No one knows, but just the comparison that you had. And our company, at the time, we were building a product incentivizing people to live healthier lifestyle, building an app, and we had to pivot, actually. We were able to raise more money, actually, for that same idea when our original funding was depleted. But we saw that the way we have built that product and the way we have marketed it and the technological readiness of blockchain protocol that we used by that time, that we could not actually scale and make a viable business model with that idea, and that's why we had pivoted actually completely. We have started an NFT minting and NFT staking platform. This is what actually Limpo is doing right now. So it's a GameFi company. The company is working with athletes around the world, is building, producing NFTs, and then building an ecosystem, engagement ecosystem around that. The famous the famous project my former company is working right now is based on the contract with the best chess player in the world, Magnus Carlsen, and they're building a very exciting chess game with blockchain elements in that. And in almost 2 years ago, Limpo was acquired by Animoca Brands. It's a blockchain unicorn, actually $5 billion valuation company right now, based in Hong Kong, Australia, and London, and they're also one of the biggest investors in this space. So quarter after quarter, Animoca Brands is top one or among top few companies that have bought or have invested in most of the projects. So they have invested in more than a few hundred projects over time, including big names like OpenSea, Sandbox, Dapper Labs, and many more. So, you know, we have started feeling the effects of the situation, what is happening in the crypto market. We were noticing that already back in spring. I think the difference right now in comparison to what was happening in 2018 is that many companies have raised enough funds. The VCs were there. There was a lot of institutional money involved, and I believe that many companies that are building valuable stuff have enough runway to survive. So I'm very confident in them continuing growing, continuing expanding, despite what's happening in the crypto markets. Of course, the other difference everyone wants to is the fact that right now we have the general economic downturn, which we didn't have in 2018. How these two forces play out together, we don't know, obviously. There are a lot of experts, but unfortunately, many experts say many things. The truth is no one actually knows, and no one can actually predict that, right? So we're faced in this with the situation of high uncertainty, which is okay. I enjoy, that's why I'm in this space. I enjoy these moments of high uncertainty. Right now, I work as a senior consultant at Blockchain Center. It's a company also owned by Animoca Brands, and it helps established companies and startups to launch tokens or NFTs. So all the preparation time until the token or NFT collection is actually launched, and then we leave our clients to continue their journey on their own. And of course, now from the mood by founders who are right now trying to raise funds is not great, and we still hear the announcements of investment, and this is still happening. Maybe a lot of deals are also closing that started a little bit earlier. It takes time to legally set everything up. And also, Animoca Brands is still investing. Just I think their valuations have changed a lot, and the investments go more into infrastructure, tools, more and more meaningful products than only hype. So that's the difference. And in some situations, well, this sounds maybe sad, but there's nothing better you can do than to wait. And I was just trying to imagine this metaphor of, you know, swimming against the current. Like you see a big river coming down from beautiful mountains, and you can try to swim against the current, try to swim up. It's the whole market, the whole current is taking you down, but probably you will just end up being very, very tired, and there's no way you will make it up for a longer time up this river. So, and it's not bad. Nothing is like, you know, in the startup world, a lot of things are about timing. So if the timing is wrong, even the idea is great, there are ways to work on low fidelity MVPs, try to, even without the fundraising, see it a little bit more of a like hobby, a project you enjoy, to be ready when the cycle changes to go and fundraise. Now, obviously for the companies that did, great. I saw great now that there is so much knowledge, so much more knowledge in this space than there was like 5 years ago. A great article from A16Z on how to manage your treasury, depending on how much runway a company has, in whether they should hold the funds in stable coins, and maybe some staking protocols and stable coins, market making protocols. So there are many ways how to be prepared for the situation. Of course, probably just being optimistic and hoping that somehow things will change dramatically tomorrow is not the best idea. So, you know, when thinking about the kind of advantages, I think Monica was really, really right. I'm talking about the time to build. Nothing new I can add there. I recently joined the Berlin Blockchain Week, and in the crypto events like that, where a lot of people come together, you can sense the mood really well. And it was a super top level event. Everyone relaxed. People who come there who are really in the business, who are there to stay, who have been there for a longer time. There is kind of the atmosphere is calmer. There is less hype, maybe less rush, more focus on fundamentals. So the area that I'm really focusing on right now, I'm doing a lot of research, also building these DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. A lot of new tokens, new projects. Also, many of DeFi protocols have some kind of governance. And I see the whole Web3 going towards that direction, more inclusion, involvement of community through these super advanced governance mechanisms based on various democracy theories, based on what works, what doesn't work in the space, even looking on how we can, in the long term, have some of the Web3 companies in the hands of the community, actually. So really kind of exit to community instead of exiting by doing an IPO. I think it's interesting and exciting, and it's also this is a big emerging space. There are a lot of tools in this space. There are there's a lot of experimentation ongoing, and also I think when the timing is right, it's possible to utilize this for more involvement of your community, more actually good ways to get feedback right away to the products you're building, and also a totally different way of developing a company and giving the ownership also to the part of the community. So this is one of the things I am looking at a lot right now. I think the advantages for the companies that managed to go through this period is that, well, the advantage is that you survived. So many didn't, you did, so that's already good, right? So there are these memes about VCs calling startups before during the economic downturn and saying, I have one advice, survive, see you in 3 years. Of course, that's a meme. A lot of investors are really trying to help companies to go through these more difficult times. Of course, from the public view, the same what was mentioned by, I think, multiple speakers today is that when we associate the technology or the benefits of the technology with the prices of the cryptocurrency, then we end up having a funny result. So I think the more educated audience is well aware of the difference, and for the public audience, obviously there is less excitement in the space because Bitcoin prices go down. So that means somehow that the technology or Web3 is not advancing, which is obviously, not based on any meaningful insights. So even if the whole crypto market was gone right now, there would still be a lot of companies building on blockchain, advancing Web3, advancing decentralized applications, decentralized modes of operation, decentralized ownership, because there's no doubt in the technology itself and its use cases, even in the companies that don't have anything to do with any tokens, and even in many traditional businesses. So I am a fan of the technology and of its philosophy in decentralization. And finally, thinking about, in the current economic situation, can Web3 also be of any help? Can we somehow, from this side, fuel the economy? One of the opportunities I'm mostly excited about is a metaverse. It's predicted to be trillions. There are various estimations with market opportunity of trillions of dollars, and maybe part of this will be decentralized, maybe the biggest part of it, maybe a small part of it, but I think there can be a lot of expansion, a lot of development happening in Web3 space when it comes to metaverse. Metaverses owned, co-created by the communities, and it's a good time to build that as well. So this could be the kind of meaningful contribution from Web3 to turn the ship at some point when the world's economy is ready. So that's my take, and I'll be glad to answer to your questions.
Thank you, Ada.
For Ada, thank you so much. Guys, do you have any questions? Ladies, gentlemen? Or too much thoughts in your heads right now? Yeah, a lot of ideas. Okay, maybe we can say thank you to the ladies once again. Thank you so much, Monica and Ada, for joining, and have a great lunchtime. And thank you guys as well for joining today. So please raise your hands who had taken some new thoughts from what the people talked today. Almost everybody. Okay, that's great. So nevertheless, those who hadn't, there are still some food left right there next to the beanbags. So they have to be rated and they have to be taken, so nothing should be left. I know the Lift 99 community is definitely up for free food, so please enjoy, have a coffee, have water, tea, whatever, and if you have questions or if you would like to get the contacts of our speakers as well, come up here and we can chat about this. And just a reminder, Turing, I'm Monica from Turing College, of course. We're doing a Web3 course for the people who would like to be a Web3 developers from Web2. So if you're interested in that, I can help you with that as well. This is in partnership with Tezos Foundation, so these courses are free of charge actually. So that's a mini promo from me. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining live, and best of luck and have a nice rest of Thursday. So thank you.
Finished.